So, Nando v Movies, one of the movie channels I look up to, has hosted an event called One Marvelous Scene as a Marvel Cinematic Universe retrospect, along with the upcoming release of Avengers Endgame. So here I am hopping on the bandwagon before it's too late and no longer a trend. The one scene for me would be Ivan Vanko prison scene from Iron Man 2, the third installment of the MCU after the first Iron Man and Hulk, the film which got mixed reviews and probably received more criticism than praises. The scene starts right after Ivan's attack on the racetrack, where Ivan holds his own and almost outmatched Tony with only a pair of arc reactor powered whips and possibly some strength enhancements. Despite of his defeat, he tells Tony, "You lose," while being arrested and taken away. Inside the prison, we see Ivan is sitting on a bench in an almost empty room, cuffed and almost naked with only his underwear and his body full of tattoos. Tony walks in. He first compliments about the arc reactor for Ivan's, while pointing out the flaws and where it can be improved, almost like he's talking to a student about his school project, rather than with an assassin who was just moments away from ending his life hours ago. Tony then questioned his motives, not forgetting to look down on him at the same time, only to be responded with insults and call out on the Stark family and Tony's attempt at redemption. Vanko points out the arc reactor on Tony's chest is actually stolen from his father by the Starks. He then goes on a short speech about gods and sharks. Tony then dismisses it with "You're in prison," and gets up. Before Tony leaves, Vanko warns him about the paladin poisoning and states that it is a painful way to die. At first, Tony was just looking down on Ivan Vanko and doesn't really see him as any of a threat, and in his defense, he has every right to be. Tony is a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, while Ivan was just a messy thug from Russia with tattoo and somehow happens to get a hold of a knockoff tech of his. But as the conversation goes on, we know that wasn't 100% the case. Now here's where my opinion comes in. Vanko's attack wasn't just physical, but also psychological and emotional. Vanko tears through whatever facade Tony has on him and even comes to his own conclusion that he doesn't even need to step out of the prison to destroy him. Let's have an overview on what situation Tony was in so far. Tony's state in Iron Man 2 is honestly quite messed up. From the inside, the fuel problem for the chest reactor is more urgent than ever. For every palladium pack used, he is one step closer to grave. From the outside, it's even worse. His tendency of self-destruction and pushing people away is slowly isolating him from others who care about him. What's more, let's not forget, he is also facing all sorts of problems with the government, which I assume is downplayed due to storytelling purposes. I'm no legal expert myself, but as the former infamous weapon manufacturer who's now in possession of one of the most versatile if not powerful weapon ever, which is not even under government supervision, I'm sure he'll be facing legal problems left and right. Especially when his only defense is that the technology is only Tony Stark exclusive. This pressure has been building up probably since the moment he announced that he is the Iron Man. All sorts of problems boiling, tormenting him inside and outside while Tony is on the brink of collapsing, and his ego will not allow him to ask for help. This is what Tony's life has been so far. And here's where Ivan Vanko comes in, holding the portable arc reactor only Stark has, and hold its own in a fight against the famed Iron Man with no protection at all. Vanko sees right through Tony. He knows Tony's palladium problems. He knows Tony doesn't have a firm ground to stand on with all the legal issues. He knows that the press will turn on him the moment the opportunity shows due to his reputation so far. He knows under the suit and his condescending attitude is a tortured man who is barely holding on. If you can make God bleed, the people will cease to believe in him, and there will be blood in the water, and the sharks will come. Vanko had made the God bleed. Vanko dropped the blood into the water, and the sharks are now coming. Vanko knew he had already finished his revenge. Everything accumulated against the man Tony Stark would soon be unleashed to pull him down the grace he had maintained it so far. Whether is it isolation, palladium poisoning, or the pressure from the general public, all he had to do is watch, even from inside a prison cell. This scene is a display of Ivan Vanko's psychological warfare and becomes the breaking point for Stark's gradual breakdown. and is one of the few cases in superhero genre where the antagonists strike not by physical means. Other notable examples being Joker from The Dark Knight and Zemo in Civil War. Although Ivan eventually becomes just another big grey villain, I would say this scene is where this character shines and becomes one of the more memorable villains in all three Iron Man standalone movies, right behind Justin Hammer. This is my opinion on one memorable Marvel scene. Thank you for watching and hope we'll meet again.